Jesus, having a cold really freaking sucks, man. I'm going to try my best to explain all the things I absolutely enjoyed about this 3.5 patch and taking into account that it was a introductory region, which is very important. But then at the end, we'll try to point out some things I think they could have done better on or maybe improve on going forward. With that said, one of the first things I really appreciated was the return of the 1.0 cast. If only for a short moment, it's still nice, and it's something that needs to happen more often with all of the cast members in Wuthering Waves. If you want to make a world feel big, remember that the characters you've created still exist. This is something that's very important in all forms of storytelling, right? Once you breathe life into a character and put them inside of your game, your movie, your TV show, that character is still living life, and it's important to not forget that. And so it's nice seeing Jeje, even if only she's just delivering some news to you and looking adorable. It's nice to see Chixia, I mean, hell, just helping out Yangyang, and then she gets put in the damn ER room. It's nice to see Xiang Liao being on his scientific nerdy shit, even though they shut him down when he was trying to study the technology of Ming Zhao. He said he put in several requests, they shut him down. It's nice to see Baizi. You know, all these characters do exist and should be brought up from time to time, not only just for nostalgia purposes, but the fact that they do exist inside of the world of Wuthering Waves. Jinzi included, Sanhua included. It was really nice seeing all these characters, and I thought they didn't put them in a forceful manner, but they actually had their little minor roles to play. Jinzi's was beautifully done as well because, well, she is in fact a resonator of Jue, and she was going to attend because she has that right. They did a good job explaining that, but she didn't attend because Rover was like, you got to stay here and protect this city, right? It's important that you realize you do have a duty here to these people. We also met almost every single cast member of Ming Zhao, which is also awesome, right? This is an introductory to the region, and we met literally every single cast member with the exception of one, and I actually appreciate that. In fact, you can even say almost two, because technically we didn't really meet Qin in person either, the sentinel of Ming Zhao, but Sui Ming and Qin were the two people we did not meet, but we still even heard about them to some capacity. And what I really liked about the mystery of Qin and Su Ming is that it keeps you wanting more. It gives you something to look forward to as they drop more patches, especially the Sui Ming part. It was me and chat were like going through the story, if you watch my playthrough, and it came to I think it came to a chat. I didn't want to steal his credit. One of my boys, I think it was Bad Goat, he was like, I'm calling it now, Sui Ming is Yen Lin's sister. And then I was like, wait, you might actually be cooking, and I went down a whole rabbit hole with it. But Sui Ming is a puppeteer. Yen Lin was also a puppeteer, and then Muyu is like a puppeteer. And then when you take into account the Zhaojin Atelier, and they are basically masters of robot science, or automaton, I guess is the appropriate term for it. And Sui Ming might potentially be a leader in this group. She might even be a villain. But see, just the talk of it is interesting. And I haven't even gotten into that yet. But keeping two characters of the region kind of mysterious, not telling you everything about them, that's also cool. While at the same time, we met Zhao Ming. Sorry, I'm probably gonna be butchering these Chinese names. I apologize in advance. The blue chick, who is actually like the general of the Zhuangfeng Hold. We got to meet her, if only she was aura forming and came in there like a superhero. We got to meet the graveyard dude, which I'm gonna be real, I loved everything about him until he talked. And it's no hate, it's no shade or anything. It's just the guy looks like Flint from Genshin, right? He looks like he should have this cool, calm, loner demeanor, and then as soon as he spoke, it was the exact opposite. And that's probably just a me thing. It's probably just a personal expectation that just caught me off guard. But I didn't expect him to have this like Brant personality. I expected him to be a lot more like Debbie Downer, kind of edgy, if you will. That said, love his design. Design's 10 out of 10, but that caught me off guard. But regardless, we met him. We met Soy Soy, we met Yang Yang, we met a lot of people. And just from that perspective, I love that, because sometimes you only meet the characters that's at the time that they're selling them to you. And I hate that. I like a little bit of build up before a character even becomes available to be sold. I want that character to not just be on the screen when your banner's up, but as the story is continuously progressing. That was something I appreciated about Luke Herson in the Lahai Roy arc. He was there from start to finish, even when his banner wasn't up, right? And guess what? You were probably a fan of Luke Herson whenever he appeared on the screen. That said, we met all the cast from 1.0. We met, or almost, our general is the only one we didn't meet, Gian. I don't know. I guess bro was clocked in and locked in. But we almost met all the cast from Ming Zhao, and then the introductory to the region part, which just to give you a perspective, the introductory to the region part is when the cinema thing happens. This was a beautiful scene when we pulled up to Ming Zhao, and it had that song that was like a Spartan song mixed with Chinese melodies. God damn, that shit was a banger.
That was...
Let's press on. So, that's Xuanfeng Hold.
It does look rather magnificent from here.
Nah, this song's a banger! No, that hoe a banger, chat! And I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like they improved even more so on their beautiful world design, their landscaping, their map design, the graphic fidelity, the quality, the shading. In this region, I could see that they have improved on all of these details in a noticeable manner. I'm not gonna say it was drastically. It's kind of hard to be drastic when it looks so good as is already. But 2.2 is still going to be, or is it 2.2 where we're flying up in the sky with the whales? Listen, man, that's always going to be my favorite thing, bro. When we went up in the sky with the whales with Carthea looking like Princess Zelda. But I do acknowledge that 3.5 region looks phenomenal. It almost looks like the Avatar, not the Last Airbender, the other Avatar, the movie. And so they did a good job there. But one thing about this whole entire patch that I think has to be given flowers is they did a fantastic job educating you on the world building. You learned everything you needed to know about Ming Zhao, at least in the Xuanfeng Hold, which is the region, or I'm sorry, the area that sits right between Jinzhou and Ming Zhao, or Zhong. Man, these words, bro. These goddamn words cooking my damn brain. Xuanfeng. There's Xuanfeng, then there's Xuanfeng Hold, then there's Jinzhou, and then there's Mingzhou, which is all of like the Xuanfeng stuff. Like Mingzhou is just like the whole region. But this hold sits in the middle, and its primary like responsibility is to fend off tacit discords, entrap them inside of this world building term called censor courts or censor cages, which is kind of like a jail cell, if you will, for tacit discords. This is pretty much a military base. It's a fortress, like a great wall, to fend off tacit discords and prevent them from going to both Mingzhou, like regions and countries, as well as Jinzhou. If you take away this fortress, Jinzhou and Mingzhou are cooked, right? So this fortress is very freaking important, but it's not just like a fortress for like soldiers and warriors. Citizens also inhabit this area as well. But we learn a lot about the significance of the Xuanfeng Hold, how it functions, and how it fends off these tacit discords. This is very important when you go to a new region, bro. What are the people like? What's the culture like? What's the history like? And how is it self-sustaining? How does it function as a whole? Who's the region, or who's the sentinel of the region? What the hell is she like? Or he or she like? Which, you know, it's always going to be a she in a gacha game. And what's their responsibility? How do they run things in contrast to Jue or Imperator? All of these questions were pretty much answered all in one singular patch on the first half of 3.5. Keep that in mind as well. Now, what I do like is they did keep a lot of Qin's powers and decision-making, as well as everything she is. It kept it a lot in mystery. It's a bit clouded and obscured, which is a good thing. Got to give you something to look forward to. You don't want to tell everything about the Sentinel all in one patch, right? But they gave you enough to know how things get down there. She's the one who created the automatons. I hate that word. The robots. The highly advanced AI robots that protect the people. She's the one who created them. A big power of hers is being able to create these highly advanced, actually, I think they said it's the most highly advanced AI robots in the entirety of the Wuwa world. She created all of them, put them in that fortress to protect everyone. But she's also somebody who's able to split off her power into these things called prism stones. I was locked in, boys. I'm gonna be honest. I was listening to all of this stuff. It was actually enjoyable to me. There were some parts of the story, which we'll talk about later, that were a bit mind waning. But the fact of the matter is, the world building and the lore was all intact. This was probably the most impressive thing about 3.5 in its entirety. It was the world building and lore was all there. The Court of Savante, the Zhao Jin Atelier, right? These are two highly advanced, like ancient civilization groups that are really good at technology advancement, right? And the Court of Savante, I think they're just good at technology, period, right? The ancient technology that's highly advanced, better than anybody's shit. And then you've got the, fuck these damn mouthful words, Zhao Jin Atelier. They're the like natives of Mingzhou. They're the scientists of Mingzhou. And they are highly advanced in automaton science. And guess what? The villain of this story, Muyu, he belongs to that group, which is crazy because the group is not supposed to be evil. So him belonging to that group, I'm pretty sure he does, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. This is all coming off the top of the cuff. If he belongs to that group, then that means the rest of the group might be evil as well, who I think Su Ming belongs to. Regardless, the Sentinel, Qin, she was supposed to use them to build this hold. And in using them, they would then have full-blown information as to all the ins and outs of the hold and how things function, so on and so forth. She didn't choose them, though. She chose the Court of Savante instead of her own scientist group in her region. And I already had put two and two together during my playthrough. I was like, oh, they didn't like that. They probably got a mad fucking grudge against her because of that. Like, how dare you choose these outsiders instead of us? This is lore. This is world building. This is good shit. We're learning everything. This is all in 3.5, by the way. And the cool thing about all of that is that it sets up another antagonist group other than the fucking Fraxidus. Thank God. I've been talking about this for a long time. Those of you who've kept up with the channel know. I've been talking about we need some other antagonist other than the Fraxidus. It's like running into Jesse and James in Pokemon every time. It's like, all right, bro, we gotta get a new villain, bro. I'm tired of running into Jesse and James. You know what I mean? Like, so the fact that now I feel like Kuro Games has been listening and involving the cast from Mingzhou and in 1.0 Huanglong region, and now I feel like they're listening in a way of let's add more villains other than the Fraxidus. Fraxidus is cool. I love me some Cristofaro. That's my goat. But goddamn, we need some more. And so I feel like they're doing that with this Muyu dude. By the way, I really loved him. I did. I enjoyed that guy. I think he's a proper villain. I think he's got some pain he's holding on to that we haven't revealed yet. He kind of leaked it out when he was talking about getting rid of your feelings. You don't need them. Whenever somebody says that, you know goddamn well they've been through some tough shit that forced them into that dark depth of hell. Right. So like this guy, he was based and he kind of showed it at that point, too. But he's interesting. I like where he's going with his whole role. He's also no bitch either. He's no pushover, even though he tried to act like he was. Speaking of Muyu and the Zhao Jin Atelier, they were so good at science and what they did that they were able to outsmart Qin, the Sentinel. This guy was able to take control of the Sentinel's robots, who are supposed to be coded to protect civilians at all costs, at all times. And he's flipped their shit with some coding. This is how I'm like breaking it down in my brain, at least. He coded their shit to do the exact opposite. The people, the robots that are supposed to protect the people ended up killing the people. I mean, this is insane when you think about that, because he basically outplayed and outsmarted the damn Sentinel, or he had help from the rest of his group. But regardless, that sets up a lot of different variables. How the hell did that happen? What's going to happen now as the story goes on? Because they didn't get rid of this guy. He's still alive and kicking, and he's got a whole nother group of people, right? This, to me, when I'm talking myself through all these things, I can't say this quest was bad, because as I'm talking about it right now, I'm passionate. I'm actually excited to talk about this stuff. To me, I had a great time during this quest because it didn't feel like I was wasting my fucking time the whole time playing through it. There was purpose to a lot of the conversations that were being held and the things that were occurring. Now, does that mean the quest was perfect? No, absolutely not. But there certainly was a lot more positivity to negativity from my personal experience. I also want to talk about Soy Soy, Yangyang, and Rover. Can we all just get a round of applause for Rover not being on the screen the entirety of the goddamn patch? This was another devs listen moment in my personal opinion. I've been saying forever, we don't need Rover on the screen all the goddamn time. Sometimes it's even better to keep him off the screen for an extended period of time and then focus on everybody else, so that when he does arrive, it's much more appreciated and it's much more heroic felt, because it's literally like the hero swoops in, saves the day. But when he's on the screen all the goddamn time, it makes the world feel smaller. It also makes it feel like all you're talking about is Rover and the next person you're trying to sell and the banner. I love the fact that you got to spend time with Yangyang by herself, get to experience some of the growth that she went through, also her journey as she's going through Mingzhou and talking to all the citizens and learning their pain, their hardships, the rules, laws, and governance of the Zhuangfeng Hold and Mingzhou as a whole. And then you swap over to Soy Soy, and Soy Soy's on her own personal mission, doing some Sly Fox shit low key against a fox to try and get Rover this prism of stone so that he can unlock his Electro Rover ability. Everybody had a purpose, everybody had a role to play. And it kept things quite interesting for the most part throughout the entirety of the playthrough. The only thing I would take issue with, if I'm being honest, is just the pacing during the part where Liang Yu is talking with Yangyang. That part, I'm not even gonna say it was bad. It was just a slow burn, and it was a lot of exposition dump teaching you about the citizens of Zhuangfeng Hold, which, by the way, is a very important variable. You got to learn about the people there, especially when you figure out the hardships they were facing with, because you got to think these are citizens living on a war zone, basically a military base, if you will. The Fortress and Gorgeous War, which was, I think it was fought like 200 years ago, man, put these people through the ringer, as well as their, their ancestors, and it still continued all the way out through the day where we show up to Mingzhou. They're still out there fighting battles, and so the problem wasn't necessarily what we were learning. It was just a lot of NPC dialogue lined up, right? We had Liang Yu teaching us. She literally is the one who told us about Zhaojin Atelier. But that's the problem with me and a lot of these gacha games. Although Wuthering Waves is the best at presentation, it still has the same gacha problem that all other gachas have, which is a storytelling problem. And that storytelling problem is gacha games, due to their live service dynamic of updates and scheduling, I see it. I kind of like see it leak out at times in these games where you can tell if they had probably extra time. I don't know. I'm guessing they would have put more budget into the storytelling aspect of it, but because they didn't, you get just two fully rendered models in an open world with a static background, some nice visuals and such, talking about important events. This happened a lot during the Liang Yu into the old man, into the little kid, into the ancestor of Liang Yu, into the guy with the scar from the village that told you that Liang Yu's like a sister to the whole village. There was a lot of exposition dump in that part. Not that that's bad, but it could be better presented. It could be better shown, right? When you're telling me about the Zhaojin Atelier group, the mad scientist, or not mad scientist group, Muyu's a mad scientist so far. But when you're telling me about this group, I don't need to hear it from Yangyang and Liang Yu just telling you about them. You could actually bring out your beautiful, creative artwork where you're showing still images of art of these people as you're talking about them, or the moving creative art I've seen you do. Wuwa has some beautiful ways of storytelling. They really do. They've done many ways of storytelling versus just like a fully animated cutscene. And so I think they could use some of those ways when they're introducing some of these very important world building lore aspects. They can use it when they talk about the Court of Savante. Show some people, show something. Hell, even if they're hollowed out. That will make people lock in more, as opposed to just looking at, a character that they know they're never going to play with, or an NPC they don't really give a fuck about. Now, I want to talk to you guys about Yangyang. I think Yangyang has been quite a polarizing topic. There are people who are kind of like, I guess they're caught off guard that Yangyang 1,000,000,000% had romantic moments with the Rover. I mean, holy shit, if you deny it at this point, dear God, guys, I don't know what to tell you. That shit was romantic as romantic gets. Apart from him and like Shorekeeper, I think she one-upped Shorekeeper, if I'm being honest. Here's what I will say about it. I think if you're feeling one way or the other, it's completely valid. Because on one end of the spectrum, bro, this character was so forgettable in 1.0. She really was. It was horrible in 1.0, to the point where they put so much emphasis and focus on this character, so much significance on this character in 3.5. When you just reflect back on the last time you saw her, it is a 0 to 100 level of escalation. And if people find that odd, I think that's fair. That said, on the other end of the spectrum, there's also a lot of people who were just Yangyang fans, like, dude, about time. This character was the first person we saw. What the fuck, man? So I think it really can go both ways. I'm one of the people, I was rooting for Yangyang, bro. I'm not gonna cap, okay? Yangyang. Now, she do got that monotonous tone, but I feel like, and this is just an anecdotal, I feel like her tone is Chinese people. If you were speaking Chinese and you keep the exact same tone on Yangyang, it's going to sound beautiful and it's going to have its intent that's purposeful. But when you shift that tone over to English, it doesn't hit the same way. And so I feel like this might be kind of what people were experiencing with Yangyang, because there's people who saying, oh, she sounds a lot better, and there's people, oh, she's still monotone. Even I was saying it at times. It wasn't until she started talking with her sister Soy Soy where I was like, there's that shift in the tone where the personality comes back because she's comfortable with her loved one, right? But I think Yangyang's like significance in 3.5 was actually insane. From a lore standpoint, she's literally entwined with some mysterious god who's fucking Avatar the Last Airbender, bro. We learned this at the Segway quest at the end. This bitch had control over all elements: fire, earth, water, wind. Long ago. Y'all know what I'm talking about, bro. One of the best shows of all goddamn time. But yeah, she's entwined with this character, and they're saying crazy ass things like Yangyang meeting Rover was a 1 in billion iteration of chance of happening, or it was just inevitable. They're also saying that like they can't figure out how the hell she had her ascension form. It just, she is definitely entwined with some god. This god said no human was meant to ever hear this, but you're hearing it, Yangyang. So, and if you don't turn back now, then you never can, because this, I can't foresee what's gonna happen. Like the amount of shit that was being thrown at Yangyang is wild. It is. And I am not complaining about it, because it seems to me that Yangyang's gonna have to play a role in the story going forward, whether she wants to or not, based off of the contents that were revealed in 3.5. And so at this point, we've got more lore that tied back to 1.0. This is what I really appreciate. The lore that ties back to 1.0 brings it back to current day. I appreciate that, because it goes back to what I was telling you earlier. Characters that exist, they're still alive. You gave life to them. Remember, they're in your world. Not only that, world-building elements you brought up in the beginning, they're still there. Bring them back. When you tie things back, a lot of consumers appreciate that. And I think this is why people also like 3.5. I also loved Soy Soy. Soy Soy was fantastic. She's also incredibly fucking hot. She carries herself with dignity and elegance. She has that big sister vibe going on, and she's firm and resolute as well. The way she was handling Chin, the Sentinel, I very much enjoyed that. She was basically not backing down, and she was telling her that, hey, I know you have a certain way of things playing out in your head, but I'm telling you right now, let's believe in Rover. And although y'all know I'm the biggest Rover hater on planet Earth, it is cool to have somebody else making like moving that needle and, you know, trying to put him in a predicament to save people other than him doing it, right? Him talking to her and making those deals himself kind of like is something that always happens. So like allocating that role over to somebody like Soy Soy, I very much appreciate it. Now, I guess we can talk about some of the things that I thought they could improve on. It's not really something I could like bitch about, because it's a gacha game, but it is the fact that everyone wants to pretty much fuck Rover. You can get mad as much as you want when I state this, but everyone wants to F, bro. Soy Soy was totally hitting on Rover, bro. All right. No, not because she called him darling. I call women darling all the time. But Soy Soy was over here trying to get some PT, bro. She's trying to get some one-on-one time with Rover. Come on now. Now I get it, because they're not going to be able to give you a companion quest on the second half. There's not going to be a quest on the second half. So they had to give you that, you know, that self-insert experience where they can, when they can, during the story with Soy Soy. And then on top of that, Yangyang has a massive crush on Rover as well, right? Like, and then, you know, when he meets Chin, it's gonna be the same thing as well, bro. Like Chin gonna be over here like, But I joke. I say this though because there's a lot of times where you see these cheesy like moments that might make people cringe, and it takes away from the seriousness from the story. But at the end of the day, it's a gacha game. They're going to do these things. They're going to appease that target audience. Of course they are. It's literally just coded in the damn genre, right? So that's like one thing for me that I saw. I didn't think I liked the send-off. The send-off from Lahai Roy, all the people saying hi, to me, I cringed a bit. I'm going to be honest. I did. I cringed a bit, but I kept it respectful. I just feel like they could have done what they did with 2.0. They could have dropped a whole dedicated trailer like they did with 2.0 when Frolova was standing on the hill maidenless by herself while everybody was having a party. That shit was so wholesome and adorable. And it was like a send-off that didn't need to be done inside of the game. I think it would have been better for Lahai Roy to have something like that. versus what they did at the end. It was, for me, it was kind of corny. That shit didn't land. I'm gonna be real. This is another thing that's not really like a criticism. It's just more so maybe like a cultural difference. But like some of the songs that they were singing were deep poetry songs. It wasn't really resonating with me either. Like, it was beautiful. I acknowledged it was beautiful, but it wasn't hitting me hard. And I think that's probably just because I'm not Chinese, guys. I'm gonna be honest. Those songs, most of the time when they were singing them, it was one song they kept singing over and over. It wasn't really hitting. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if that was just a me thing. It is possible that it was, but for me, I was just like, okay, I mean, maybe if I understood the poetry better, I'd have a deeper appreciation for this. I'm also never gonna like these goofy ass combat sequences we do throughout story with Rover. Don't get me wrong, it was cool playing with base Yangyang because I hadn't played her in such a long time, but the combat is so stale. It's so boring. There's no real, like, I know that what they're thinking is you immerse yourself because you're in the middle of a war right now, so you got to go fight these guys, but it's so boring and mundane. I would rather you just give me insane amplified powers like you do in like a rogue mode, where they're doing extra abilities they don't normally do, just to make the shit more interesting. Because God, does that stuff get annoying after a while. It's like, all right, bro, I'm ready for this battle to be over with. You know what's bad? When you're ready for the combat to be done so you can get back to just consuming story. Ultimately though, I pretty much enjoyed the quest. That's why I gave it an 8.5. But I will say, if there was anything I could really hone in on in terms of criticism, when you're introducing very important world building elements or important central figures of a particular region, like again, Zhaojin Atelier, Court of Savante, Censor Courts, you know, all these different figures and things that add into the essence of the world building, I hope you put more storytelling creativity as you're mentioning that dialogue, as opposed to just two people talking on the screen. This is, like, again, a big problem in the gacha space. Wuwa does it better than Genshin and ZZ, and I haven't played ZZ in a while. Does it better than Genshin though, for sure. Does it better than HSR for damn sure. But that doesn't mean it's not still problematic. I think this is why people's minds wane and get disconnected during these like important moments. It's because of, well, they're consuming so much exposition in one instance that they just start to like tap out, you know? And I think that's completely fair in some ways. That said, though, that's going to wrap up all my thoughts. You guys comment down below. Let me know what you think. Peace, love, and happiness. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side.